Hey guys, welcome to the On The Grid podcast with this week a new open source N64 HDMI mod, a new GDEMU version, and Microsoft that bought Activision. Hope you enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back with another episode of the Game Grid with George and me, Armando. And today we're going to talk about what we played this week. And let's start off with you.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot actually. I've played some Spider-Man for the PlayStation 5, the remastered version. And just having a real good time with it. Trying to platinum it once again. So, now I'm playing Sonic Advance Battle 2 with my son on the GameCube. Which is really fun because he never really played on the GameCube before.
Oh, wait, the GameCube, of course.
Yeah.
How did you connect this, by the way?
I just with the SCART cables. Would you?
Oh, there's still a SCART cable.
That's still a SCART cable. There's no HDMI on that. So that was actually pretty good. Yeah. But it's just fun for him to see him like, oh man, this controller has a wire. Why has it? What's this shit? So
why isn't it just wireless?
Why isn't it just wireless? So it's fun having that experience with him. And
by the way, about Spider-Man,
yeah.
You said this is a remastered edition, so you just put the Spider-Man disc of the PlayStation 4 in the PlayStation 5, or?
No, you have to download it once again. You could have gotten the remastered version with the Miles Morales game that came out with the release of the PlayStation 5.
And then it's on that disc already.
No, then you get a download. Even if you buy the disc for Miles Morales, you still get the download.
Yeah.
And it has some minor upgrades, like the DualSense controllers integrated, so web swinging, you actually feel the resistance.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's really cool, those kind of extra features. And for the rest, they changed the face of Peter Parker for some reason, because they apparently didn't like it, or the people didn't like it.
Yeah.
So, and it's just fun, and especially watching my son swing around the city, because it shows you how good they did the swing. Because it's really intuitive. Yes. So you see, the first few minutes he was kind of struggling with it, and now he's just flying through the city, saving crime, saving people, and
they always do this really good with these Spider-Man games, because I think like a week or 1.5 weeks ago I played a Spider-Man game on the original Xbox, and this was of course more comic-like.
Yeah.
But this was also really intuitive. And
was that the real cel-shaded one? Yeah. Where you also had Venom that didn't have the Spider-Man logo.
Well, there was Venom. I'm not really sure if there was a Venom logo on his chest. But
I know exactly what game you mean.
What was nice about this one is I also played Spider-Man games where you can just be like swinging, and then even when there's no buildings, you're still just swinging
in thin air.
Yeah, but this one actually is more like lower ground. Because you're not in New York, like in the city center. And you really can't swing if there is nothing. It's just you have to literally swing with what you have. And it swings really nice. They really did it like, okay, 1 and 2. And 1 and 2. And if you do that, if you get out of this rhythm, it's just you hit a building or you hit the ground. I really like that always about Spider-Man.
I think Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4 and 5 kind of improved on that, because like you won't really swing in a building, because if you press a button he will just run straight up. So you have kind of that locomotion feeling with that. So yeah, that's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for Spider-Man 2.
So one more question. If you played Miles Morales, is this exactly the same graphics now upgraded for the PS5 version then, or is it just slightly better and just made?
No, it's like they use like the same engine, so you have the ray tracing now added in.
Oh, that's nice.
It kind of instantly ups the visuals for it.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that's actually it's like
playing a PS5 game.
It's like playing a PS5 game, like without the extra features. Like there's no enhancements on NPCs. There are AI, so they aren't actually smarter or anything. So it's you kind of still have that arcade feel, like just bashing and using your gadgets. And if you have Miles Morales, it's like now I'm playing Spider-Man for the PlayStation 5, and after that I will play the DLCs. And then I'll play Miles Morales, and it's one continuing story.
Yeah, that's nice.
And now that I already played Miles Morales, you kind of know that you kind of see the Easter eggs they already laid out. Like, oh, they're already setting this up. And I always like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's actually adds a lot of value. But what have you been playing this week?
Not too much. I've fixed something in the game room. I've also been working on some electronics. I did play, however, because on Saturday evening we made a sort of retry at gaming, and I played Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh, that's an amazing game.
Yeah, I originally thought that this game was just another, let's say, fighter button basher game. But there is a freaking story, like a really big story. Yeah. I was really impressed with the fact that you have the Black Panthers in Wakanda. Yeah. And they changed this into Valkanda.
Wakanda?
Valkanda with a V. And there was also something in Iron Man. You have this guy that makes the Extremist. And his company name is called AIM. But because Capcom is in there and you also have Umbrella Company... corporation, they made this Aimbrella.
Oh, that's actually pretty fun.
And it's so well thought through that all these characters swing in at the right moment, and how they created this story. Also, people from because of course you have Resident Evil, but they also made this Dead Rising game, and there's also a guy from Dead Rising with really strange moves that he has. But it's just really fun to see all these characters, and actually. This game, if you don't know all these IPs, then you probably don't have a clue of what's happening. But if you do know them, it's really fun because all these stories are just put together. And I didn't completely finish it yet, but I did come pretty far. And it's really fun. It's a really enjoyable fun game.
Story. And can you kind of set up the premise of the story? Like, does the universes collide, or who's the big bad? For example.
Yeah, well, of course, Thanos is in the game there, but the big bad guy is Ultron, and they call him differently. They call him something like Ultron Vice or Vibe or something. And he already has 2 of the Infinity Stones, and in the end, they're gonna ask Thanos to help them out.
That's actually pretty fun.
To take him down, so that's really nice. Yeah,
that would actually make a cool What If story on Disney Plus. What if?
And I also watched What If, the first 2 episodes. Yeah, so I know what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, for once, hey.
So yeah, that was a nice game to play, and I've been watching some of the Need for Speed games, but I didn't really play that. So we're looking forward to the Friday because I still want to finish the games that I started playing last week, and I'm really looking forward to that. Did you play anything else?
Well, I played the Rocky game, the Royal Championship Creed. Something like that. I'll put it up on the screen right now, I promise. But it's actually a really fun arcade game. It's based on the Creed film, like the Rocky sequels.
Oh, yeah, I have that movie. Yeah.
And it's like a real simple boxing game. Like you just have a hard punch, less hard punch, and you can dodge, and then you can block. And that's the base premise. And it's really fun just to have in for parties, people who don't game a lot can play this game,
Is it more arcade, or is it an actual buyable game in the stores?
No, it's a buyable game on the PSN store. So you can buy it. I don't think you can buy it in the actual physical stores, but nobody can buy anything now in the physical stores. But it's a real fun couch co-op game, so I really hope that we can play so let's play with that. That would be very, very fun. So that was what I played.
Yeah, nice. Any other thoughts you want to mention?
No, I'm out. Am I forgetting something?
No, you're not forgetting anything. So we're going to the next part then.
Yes.
So this week in the news, we have a couple of items, of course. And we start off with a new GDM EMU. And this is a optical drive emulator, or an optical disk drive emulator, which stands for a replacement of your laser of your original consoles, and they make it possible to play games from a hard drive or an SD card. And originally on AliExpress, they always sold these GDEMUs, and they started to being sold out. So I was curious what happened, and I did some research. And I found out that they are going to stop selling them because there's going to be an upgraded version, which also has a firmware upgradable option, which is always nice to see because a lot of stuff from AliExpress isn't firmware upgradable. Yeah. So if there are any bugs, they can always just repair them. So this is nice. I originally would get a GD Emu for as a Christmas present.
Yeah.
And mine was...
What happened?
Yeah, mine was destroyed in the post. We don't really know why, but we had the possibility to order a new one, and then they were all sold out. So I have to wait a little longer to be able to play on the Dreamcast again. But I'm really curious to see what this new GDM Emu is going to do.
And are there any specific games for the Dreamcast you want to play?
Yeah, there's, of course, we play a lot of Spider-Man games. Yeah. And there was a Spider-Man game that we originally played in German, which was an original PlayStation 1 game. Yeah. And I also found out this game is relaunched on the Dreamcast. And the Dreamcast, of course, better graphics than the PlayStation. And so I'm really looking forward to play this game. And there's tons of others because there's really good Sonic games there. I've never played Sheminu, which is also a game that I would like to start off and see what happens. And there's so many epical Dreamcast games that I can't really wait to just start playing those.
Especially with Dreamcast, I think it's because it's kind of that lost console. So not a lot of people are able to play that anymore. So anything you can do just to preserve your Dreamcast and make it go, have a longer lifespan is just perfect for it. So
and I also want to make a video about this because the whole backstory of my Dreamcast is a funny story where I bought it and how it looks right now, and I already bought a new case, and we're gonna do of course a GDMU Emu. But we're also going to do an HDMI mod, so sort of a complete overhaul of how to restore your original Dreamcast.
Oh, that's actually pretty fun and a pretty rare thing to have if you still have a perfect working Dreamcast. I think that's one...
So we're still going to search for another one, because I now have one, but I would still like to have another one.
Yeah.
Just because there are so many nice cases right now, and I just would like to have two of these beautiful Dreamcasts. I also have a lot of controllers.
Can you connect your Dreamcasts to play some games with 8 players?
I'm not sure. I do know that there's that Dreamcast is one of the first consoles that also had this online possibility, because there was a dial-up modem in the Dreamcast, and recently they made a sort of a Raspberry option where you could bring back the online method, and there you could play with more players. But I'm not really sure if there's also games with 8 players.
Oh, that's a fun thing to test and to make videos about. So
because there's also a new version of K-Link Kai, which is an alternative to the paid services like PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. And if you have games which have this network multiplayer, because this was more common back in the day on older consoles, you can just use this option to play with other people. And there's actually a lot of people still playing these older consoles. So you have this for PlayStation 2, for Xbox, and also for Dreamcast, and also for GameCube.
Oh, that's actually pretty nice. And especially for like the older generation games, the people that have kids, you want to share like the games of your generation. And I think things like this really help with that, and you can really have your kids have some fun with those old games,
older consoles,
and make them appreciate the gameplay they have now.
It's the same what you're doing right now with the GameCube. I also want to make a video about upgrading GameCubes and what comes with this whole upgrade and what's possible to do right now. And then you can really enjoy everything from the old age in better graphics and good for new TVs.
And especially the last thing, good for new TVs. I think that's one thing that's really, really nice to have.
Yeah, indeed. I'm really looking forward to making this video, especially because you can also play then Game Boy Advance, and Game Boy Color in better graphics. So that's probably going to be a really nice video.
So you don't need a special light to see your screen
anymore.
Able to play. So.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So that's for the whole backstory of the
GameCube and what is coming.
Well, not specifically for the GameCube, but we originally started, of course, with the Dreamcast mod.
Yeah.
Other news is that the PlayStation 5 is really close at being hacked, and I'm really looking forward to this. I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet, but it's always nice to see when people find out if there are ways to break a console into playing unsigned code. Yeah. And they already found a hack, what I already told in a couple of episodes ago, in the 9.0 firmware, and now they're really close into unlocking possibilities in the PlayStation 5. So yeah, really curious about that.
So yeah, PlayStation must be panicking right now.
Yeah, it's never really a good thing for a big company if a newer console, which is absolutely the PlayStation 5, if it's already being jailbroken.
Especially with PlayStation, because it's kind of the only that makes the single player games, and I think the hack is needed for that. So.
And especially if you compare them to other console makers, of course, Nintendo also had his fair share deal of people jailbreaking their consoles.
Yeah.
PlayStation is really famous for it because every time a new firmware comes, people are just like, let's see what we can find in this new firmware.
Yeah.
And the only one who's constantly jumping the whole problems is Xbox. Xbox hasn't been hacked. Xbox Series, the Xbox One, all these types of consoles never been hacked. So,
is there any special reason for that you can think of, or it's just?
Yeah, they have a developer mode.
Xbox is hacking the PlayStation and the Nintendo, so
it's really curious to see why this is. Of course, they have their own developer mode, and this developer mode is something that they recently had some problems with because their accounts were suddenly deleted.
Yeah,
and in the end, like after a couple of days, Xbox responded that it was a mistake and that something went wrong and that people will get their accounts back online. And this was a good reason for modders to hack the Xbox, and they literally just slapped it down again. So, I'm not really sure how long it will take before older Xbox are going to be hacked, but as long as it looks right now, probably nothing is going to happen.
No, and I think especially with Xbox Game Pass, that's kind of their solution for it, because if everybody's streaming their games, nobody's is going to hack them.
So in other modding news, there's also some new news about the Nintendo 64 HDMI mod.
Yeah.
Originally, there are two mods. The first one that was released is really problematic to get. And the second one is problematic to get because there's a chip shortage.
Yeah.
And now a German that I follow on Twitter also released an open source N64 mod, which is fantastic. I'm really curious how this is going to work out. What always happens when something is being brought to the open as open source is that Chinese people will probably just clone it directly and sell it on AliExpress. So I'm curious how long it takes.
It's going to be cheap?
Yeah, sometimes they are cheap, but sometimes they just maintain the price high because there's demand for it.
Yeah.
So I haven't modded my N64 yet. And I'm curious to see how long it takes before the N64 HDMI mod reaches AliExpress or another seller that's going to sell them in Europe. And then we're going to try it out on the N64 and see how good this mod is. Because, N64 is really well known for their graphical interface on newer TVs, and it's a really hard way to get a really nice image on your screen.
Yeah.
And the HDMI mods are a perfect solution for this. So
Oh, that's nice, especially with the library the N64 has.
Yeah, a really big library, and you have these game cartridges that have all the games on them, so you can also just play anything that's ever been released.
So that's we're playing Pokemon Stadium again.
I've been trying to save these specific prohibbles that they released. So you need the expansion pack in your N64.
And the back thing where you put in the Game Boy cartridge.
And so the expansion pack was that original piece of plastic that you could remove from the front of your console
so
and then replace this. With the red cover on top. And they also released the one that you were talking about, this sort of cartridge method that you could put your original red, blue, and yellow cartridges in your N64 controller and battle each other with Pokemon Stadium.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And there are some other things as well. And when the N64 is brought back online, then it's fantastic if you have everything which makes it possible to play games.
And I think this is one of those consoles you can have at a party and like everybody, even the people that don't game a lot, enjoy it.
Yeah.
So now I'm always a big fan of those type of games and consoles.
Yeah, Nintendo always does a really good job in releasing consoles that have a really good sort of replay.
Replayability and accessibility for people who don't play a lot of games.
Yeah.
they do bring the same games out every generation.
Every generation.
But still,
people love them, so why wouldn't you?
Don't fix it.
Yeah, indeed. Other really big news happened yesterday when we read that Activision was bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
And I heard this just before I had dinner, and I was a little bit like, wow, how is it possible to buy a company this big and be able to just get away with it without being sort of like a monopolist?
Yeah, and like you would think that in America they have certain restrictions, like Disney Plus. When they bought Fox, they had to go through a whole ordeal for order them to buy it. So I'm kind of wondering if Activision and Microsoft still have to go through that.
Yeah.
But I really think it's like, at first I thought, oh man, that's actually amazing news. And then I thought, but for me it really isn't that amazing, because...
It depends on which games you play, of course.
Well, but I think the games like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch... I'm forgetting
Candy Crush.
Not Candy Crush, because you don't really play that on consoles. But Sekiro, that's the game I was looking for. Except for Sekiro, the rest of the games they make aren't specially made for me.
Yeah.
So, but still, they have a ton of studios now that's gonna be added to the Xbox army, and I hope they really give Activision more time, because they have in the past they had a lot of good kind of almost shovelware games. But I think with a little more extra time, a little more extra money, those games really could pop. And not necessarily be that AAA game, but like a AA game that's just fun to play and takes a little bit more risk on a creative side, like gameplay and story. So
yeah, I agree.
I really hope...
I was also a little bit shocked when I first heard it. Of course, they're not going to instantly work together, because this whole cooperation is going to start off from June 2023. So there's still like 1.5 years to go for them. And
enough time to settle their legal cases.
Yeah, that as well. And I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan. I played them, of course, but it's more for a specific type of gamer. I know a lot of guys that constantly play these games, and I am really curious to see if they are going to make the decision okay, we're not going to release them anymore on the PlayStation, which I find strange, because there's a gigantic bag of money there.
No, they have to stop it. They can't release it on the PlayStation anymore, because I think what you want is to have people enter that ecosystem of Xbox Game Pass, and to get those Call of Duty plays. So this is the only place you're gonna play it. So, and I think the hardest thing for getting those type of people is those people decided with their friends, we're all gonna gonna buy a PlayStation.
Yeah, but didn't this already happen? So, for instance, people that already jumped the bandwagon of the whole PlayStation and immediately bought a PlayStation 5 to be able to play FIFA and Call of Duty in the future, and now they're like, okay, so we need an Xbox.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what they're going for, like having that group of friends jump over, and then like have them all say, okay, yeah, we need to buy an Xbox.
Yeah.
And then you'll get that, once you have them, you'll have them. They won't jump back to PlayStation once you have Call of Duty, or PlayStation has to come with an amazing multiplayer game, only that's not really their strength.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and I'm also, if you look at what they promised, they said like, no, we're not going to do this, because Microsoft just straight up denied that they're going to take these games away of other console types. And of course, if you look at Activision, they have a lot of big games also on PC, because Activision Blizzard, as it originally named, has World of Warcraft and other really big PC type of games.
Yeah.
So and because of Microsoft also releasing a lot of PC games, because that's where they originally were known for, they have a really good library for that sort of gamer.
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm really unsure how this is going to work out in the future. They're not all my type of games. I don't really play a lot of them, because the most stuff that I played from Activision were games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and I'm not really sure, but I thought the older Spider-Man games were also released by Activision.
Spider-Man games.
Yeah. So for me, not a fantastic or a huge difference, but I am curious what Microsoft is going to do with this deal.
Yeah, I think for Microsoft it's a great move, because they also, what you already said, like the PC gamers, get them in that Xbox Game Pass ecosystem, and then the PlayStation 5 get them in that ecosystem. And the great thing, they have a really low entry point with the consoles, with the Xbox Series S.
Yeah, and they're also thinking about releasing a sort of HDMI stick, which you can just drop in your TV and then start playing. And they have the whole Game Pass Ultimate, which is also for the PC. So that's a really good deal. So for those people, it's probably fantastic.
I think for growing that audience, it's a really great move. I just hope they do a little bit more. As of Call of Duty, let them make the next step. Like, make them have a better campaign, better multiplayer. Like, really address the issues they had over the last couple of years. So...
Yeah, if you look at the documentaries lately, they did show that they were dissatisfied with specific moves that Microsoft made, for instance, like killing Lionhead, and that they're really looking forward in the future to just cooperate better with their bot companies and with the companies around them without just twisting their neck. Because that was what happened back in the day, is if a game studio just screwed up, it just twisted their neck, and it was like, okay, done, gone.
Yeah, the kind of the EA philosophy, like, you don't make enough money, you're out of here.
Yeah.
And I think it's just good for the gaming industry overall, I think, because Activision wasn't really adding anything. And I think Microsoft can really push
that's a dangerous move.
I'm saying it. They weren't adding anything. They're just the same old shit over and over again. Just like EA. So if they, but what's next for Microsoft? Is there anything else you think they want to buy? Because they bought one of the big three third-party developers. You have Ubisoft, Activision, and EA. They just straight up bought one of them, which actually makes them the third biggest game developer, game company now. After Sony is second, and there's another one first. I can't remember.
And they already bought Bethesda, and if you look at the total dollars that they spend, it's now around 77 or 78 billion dollars.
So yeah,
I'm not sure how much money there's floating there to be able to buy even bigger companies or maybe smaller companies, but they really need this, especially after the Xbox One. They had a big debacle, of course, with debacle with the whole losing their game franchises, losing people that were playing on their game consoles. Yeah. And now, they're trying to get back on this horse again. And I think the best way to do this is to buy developers. The only point where you always are just unsure is that people are not always really happy. It's funny how this works, is that when Sony buys a game company, you're like, oh yeah, we have an IP for the PlayStation, it's really nice. And then when Xbox buys one, they're like, fuck them. No. They're taking away our games, these assholes.
I think that the big difference is, especially since with last generation, Xbox One didn't really have any good games.
Yeah, just the original ones like Halo and Gears of War.
And even that wasn't...
Forza.
even with that, it didn't bring anything new, and PlayStation now has that pedigree of really great AAA games like God of War, Spider-Man, Heavenly Sword. That's a long time ago. I didn't want to say that. Horizon Zero Dawn. So people have a certain expectation now, like, oh, if PlayStation has a studio, they will give them the time, they will give them the money, and go more for give them the developers a real chance to bring out their vision. I think like Last of Us 2 is like a really great example of that, because it's so extremely dark that at certain points I was thinking, not a lot of people are gonna like this. Like, it's a great game, but just, man, if you're depressed, don't play that game. So I mean, really, so. And I think that's the big difference. But I think with Phil Spencer is doing a real great job
of this,
at rebranding Xbox. So I think all they need to do now is just bring out the games. Like, show me the next E3 or Summer Game Fest, what it's called now. Like, give me some real good games to look forward to.
And exclusive content.
Yeah, of course. But just show me the content and show me what I can look forward to. I don't need to see gameplay. I just need to see some great concepts.
Some actual good games.
No. Don't move too fast, Xbox. Just show me some concept trailers like the Fable trailer they had.
And then nothing.
And then nothing for months. I think they have to take a few years really to get that lineup ready. Yeah. So I think this year will be kind of a slow year, and I expect them from 23, they have the Demoscom games every few months.
That's not fantastic news. 2022 just started and you come up with 2023 is going to be the year.
Well, but I think that this PlayStation had the same problem with the PlayStation 3. Like, they didn't have really great games, and PlayStation 4, that took them a few years to really get that lineup going, so that every few months you had something to play. And that's really hard to do for a company, so I think you should give them some time. And I think Phil Spencer is really putting out that message, like, I want to work together with other companies. And
I think so as well.
Phil Spencer, you really look at him and you're like, oh man, he's a gamer. He's a guy like I could play a game of Halo with. So I think they have the right captain on the ship. So now just don't steer it into a fucking iceberg.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So any other thoughts on this?
No, I just hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams. Well, I think that's it for this episode. So I want to thank you guys for watching another episode, and we'll hope to see you next week again. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked it, and we'll see you next week. So at the moment they have some issues with... Fuck, ik weet het niet meer. Ik ben blanco in één keer. Wat wil ik nou zeggen?